Hi everyone, it's Tori from Tori Story Creations, and in this video tutorial I'm going to show you how to crochet this adorable Marina keychain. This video is part 1 of a 2-part video tutorial series. In this video, we'll learn how to crochet Marina's head, how to attach her eyes, and how to sew on her eyelashes. In the next tutorial video, part 2, we'll learn how to crochet her mouth, attach her mouth, attach her felt details, and also attach her keychain. For this tutorial, you will need a 3.25mm crochet hook, scissors, flat nose pliers, a yarn needle, some fiberfill stuffing. You'll need felt in yellow, pink, and white, pink and black yarn, a keychain and a jump ring. Mine are both in the color rose gold, a pair of 9mm safety eyes. If you don't want to use safety eyes, you can also substitute this with black felt or embroider with black yarn the eyes onto your keychain. And these two are not required, but they are optional. Pins for securing the pieces in place while we sew, and a stitch marker for keeping track of what stitch you are in your row. So let's get started. To do this, we're going to use our pink yarn. For row 1, we're going to create a magic circle with 6 single crochets. So to do that, I'm going to wrap my tail around my fingers 1, 2 times. Then I'm going to hold my tail against my fingers with my ring finger. I'm going to insert my hook under the first 2 loops. I'm going to yarn over with the loop that's closest to my palm. I'm going to pull that underneath the first 2 loops. And now I'm left with 1 loop around my hook. So now I'm just going to yarn over with my working yarn and pull that through the loop that's on my hook. I will continue to have now just 1 loop around my hook. So now I'm going to slide the loops off of my fingers. I'm going to pull my working yarn a little bit to tighten the yarn's hold around this circle. So we have a circle of 2 loops. And now we're going to create the 6 single crochet stitches inside of our circle. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, pull my hook back up through the circle. I'll have 2 loops on my hook. I will yarn over, and then I'm going to pull that through both of the loops on my hook. And I've created 1 single crochet in my circle. I'll repeat this. I'll insert my hook, yarn over, pull that up through the circle, yarn over, and pull that through both loops on my hook. Insert my hook into the circle, yarn over, pull my hook back up, yarn over, and pull that through both loops of my hook. So I'm going to do this 3 more times so that I have 6 stitches. So you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches in my circle. So now I'm going to find my tail. I have to untangle it a bit. And I'm going to take my tail end of yarn and start pulling this slightly towards me until I see one of these 2 loops start to tighten up. If I pull that, I can see that this front loop has started to tighten up. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to pull it towards me, and you'll see that the other loop closes. I'm going to pull that until it's pretty tight, and then I'm going to take my tail, my yarn tail, and I'm going to pull that towards me until the other loop closes. So now it's starting to resemble our magic circle. What I like to do next is to create a slip stitch into the first stitch of the magic circle. Okay, so that would be this stitch right here. So I'm going to insert my hook. I will yarn over and I will pull this yarn through all the loops on my hook to create a slip stitch. Now you can see that I'm left with a magic circle. So if your magic circle looks a bit looser, you can pull your yarn tail to tighten that up. And you should have 6 stitches. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. So throughout this pattern, you will see me insert a stitch marker into the last stitch of my row, just to keep my placement so I know when my row ends and where it starts. I'm going to hook this on, and this will help me keep count. So for row 2, we're going to increase in all of the stitches of our circle, so that's all 6 stitches. And at the end of this row, we should have a total of 12 stitches in our circle. So to do an increase, we are going to create 2 single crochets in every stitch around. So our first increase, will insert our hook in the first stitch, yarn over, pull that hook back up. I'll have 2 loops on my hook. We'll yarn over again and pull through both of those loops. So that was the first single crochet of this increase. Now I'm going to insert my hook again into that same stitch, yarn over, pull that back up, yarn over again, and pull through both loops of my hook. Okay, so that was our first increase. We have 2 single crochets in the first stitch. So I'll do that again. I'll create another single crochet in the next stitch, and I'll reinsert my hook back into that same stitch and create another single crochet. So that is our second increase. I'm going to continue increasing around this whole rest of the row. So now I've reached my stitch marker, but I know that I still have to crochet an increase into this stitch because that is the last stitch of this row. So I'm going to unhook my stitch marker, I'll set it down, I'll crochet my increase into this stitch, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and now I should have a total of 12 single crochets around. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So now I've completed my second round. I'm going to take my stitch marker and I'm going to insert it again into the last stitch of my row to keep count. I'll insert my hook into my working yarn loop, and we'll begin row 3. So row 3, we are going to alternate between a single crochet and an increase. So we'll create a single crochet in our first stitch. Then I'm going to increase into the next stitch, which is 2 single crochets in that same stitch. And then I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around through the end of this row. And that should be a total of 6 times, including this time that I've just finished. So I have 5 more times repeating this pattern of 1 single crochet and then 1 increase. Then I'll single crochet, and then I'll create an increase with 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And once you've completed row 3, you should have a total of 18 stitches around. For the 4th row, we're going to single crochet 2 times and then we'll increase, and we'll repeat this pattern 6 times around. And at the end of this row, we should have a total of 24 stitches. So I'm going to single crochet once, twice, and these are in 2 separate stitches. So 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the second stitch, and now I'm going to increase, which will be 2 single crochets in the next stitch. So I'll create my first single crochet for my increase, insert my hook back into that same stitch, and create my second single crochet for that increase. So I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around my circle. Single crochet, single crochet, increase. So now I've completed my 4th row and I have a total of 24 stitches around my circle. So for row 5, we are going to create 3 single crochets and then we're going to increase in the 4th stitch. We're going to repeat that pattern all the way around our circle. And at the end of this row, we should have a total of 30 stitches around. So I'm going to single crochet 1, 2, 3 times, and then I'm going to increase in the 4th stitch. Single crochet once, twice, 3 times, and then increase in the 4th stitch. So again, once you finish this row, you should have a total of 30 stitches around. So for the 6th row, we're going to single crochet in the first 4 stitches, and then we're going to increase in the next stitch. And we'll repeat this pattern all the way around our circle until we have a total of 36 stitches around. So I'll have 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3 single crochet, 4 single crochet, and now we're going to increase, which again is 2 single crochets in the same stitch. Then we'll repeat this pattern, so 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, 3, 4, and increase. Now that I've completed row 6, I have a total of 36 stitches around my circle. And since I have a stitch marker, I'm actually going to trim this yarn tail because it's sometimes getting in my way. I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut that tail off. And that way it's not in the way while I continue to crochet. For row 7, we are going to single crochet in each stitch around the circle. So that would be 36 times. Once we've completed this row, we should have a total of 36 stitches. So I'm just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around this circle. So now I have a total of 36 stitches and 7 rows. For row 8, we're going to single crochet 11 times and then we're going to increase into the next stitch. We're going to repeat that pattern 3 times, and once we're done with that row, we should have a total of 39 stitches. So we're going to single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and then we are going to increase in the next stitch. So I'm going to create 2 single crochets in this stitch. And now I'm going to do that again 2 more times. So now that I've completed row 8, I should have a total of 39 stitches around my circle. So for the next 2 rows, rows 9 and 10, we're going to create single crochets all the way around our circle. So that would be a total of 39 single crochets for each row. After each of those rows, we should continue to have a total of 39 stitches around our circle. Now that I've completed row 10, I have a total of 39 stitches around my circle. So row 11 is going to be a little bit different in that it doesn't follow an exact repeatable pattern the entire row. So we'll start this together. I'm going to first single crochet in the first 6 stitches. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next, I'm going to increase in the next stitch. Now that I've completed that, I'm going to single crochet in the next 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Then I'm going to increase in the next stitch. Next, I'm going to repeat that 1 time. So I'm going to create 12 single crochets, and then I'm going to increase in the following stitch. So to complete my row, I'm going to create 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches. Now that I've completed row 11, I have a total of 42 stitches around my circle. For the next 3 rows, rows 12, 13, and 14, I'm going to single crochet in each stitch around the circle. So that will be a total of 42 single crochets. At the end of each of these 3 rows, I'll have a total of 42 stitches. So starting with row 12, I'm going to single crochet in each stitch of this round. Now that we've completed row 14, we should have a total of 42 stitches around our circle. For row 15, we're going to single crochet in the first 5 stitches, and then we're going to decrease in the next stitch. So I'm going to start this row off by single crocheting in the first 5 stitches. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets, and then I'm going to decrease, and a decrease is crocheting the next 2 stitches together. This will make our circle smaller. So to do that, I'm going to insert my hook under the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull my hook through. I'll have 2 loops on my hook. And instead of yarning over and pulling that through like I would do with a normal single crochet, for a decrease, I'm going to insert my hook in the next stitch, just the first front loop. I'll yarn over and I'll pull through. And now I have 3 loops on my hook. So now I'm going to yarn over one more time and pull this through all 3 loops of my hook. And now we've single crocheted those 2 stitches into 1 stitch. So that's a decrease. So now I'm going to continue with my pattern and single crochet in the next 5 stitches. And then I'm going to decrease again. So I'm going to crochet the next 2 stitches together. And then I'll continue repeating this pattern until I get to the end of the row. Once I've completed row 15, I should have a total of 36 stitches around. For row 16, we're going to single crochet in the first 4 stitches, and then we're going to decrease. We're going to repeat that pattern 5 more times until we've reached the end of our row. Once we've reached the end of our row should have a total of 30 stitches. So I'm going to single crochet in the first 4 stitches, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to decrease. So I'm going to crochet 2 stitches together, and I'm going to continue this pattern all the way around this row. Once I've completed row 16, I should have a total of 30 stitches around. For row 17, we're going to single crochet in the first 3 stitches, and then we're going to decrease. Again, we'll repeat this pattern until we've reached the end of our row. At the end of our row, we should have a total of 24 stitches. So I'm going to single crochet in the first 3 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, and then I will decrease. Then I will single crochet in the next 3 stitches. And then decrease. And then I'll repeat this pattern till I get to the end of my row. Once I've completed row 17, I should have a total of 24 stitches in my round. Now that we've completed row 17, it's time to place the eyes, sew on the lashes, and then secure the eyes in place. So for this step, we're going to need a piece of black yarn, a yarn needle, and our 9mm sized safety eyes with our backings. And of course we'll need our work in progress Marina. So the first thing that we're going to do is put the eyes in place. So you're going to take one of your safety eyes, and we're going to insert the eye between row 10 and 11 from the top. So I'm going to go to the top of my Marina, and I'm going to count down until I get to row 10. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is row 10 and this is row 11. So I'm going to place my safety eye, my first eye, maybe around here between row 10 and 11, so in one of the holes. Okay, so now I've placed one of my eyes, but I'm not going to secure it with my back just yet. I just at this point want to see where the placement of the eyes are so I can sew the lashes on, and then I'll reinsert the eyes and secure them later. So this will give us an idea of where to sew the eyelashes on. So next I'm going to count about 7 stitches over from this eye so I can insert the next eye. So we'll count, I usually count like the holes here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I know since I insert the eye, it'll take up some space, so I'm going to stick it in this 8th hole. Since the stitches are a bit tight, I have to use 2 hands to stick the eye in. So now I have my eyes placed on my Marina. So once we have the eyes placed where we'd like them, we're actually going to remove the eyes. And we'll do this one at a time. So just remove one eye at first. Okay. So you'll notice that it created this hole right here. We're going to use this to start sewing our eyelash on. So I'm going to grab my yarn and I will thread it through my yarn needle. So once I've threaded my needle, I'm going to insert my needle inside of my Marina head, and I'm going to pull it up through that hole where our eye was. Okay, I'll leave a little tail in here so I can tie it off later. So then I'm going to insert my hook 1.5 stitches up and 1 stitch over. So right about here is where I'm going to insert my needle, and then I'm going to pull it through Marina's head. And this creates an eyelash. I know it doesn't look like an eyelash right now, but if you stick with me, it will soon enough. So I'm going to take some of this extra yarn and I'm going to trim it off. And then I'm going to take the yarn inside here. So I'm going to try to flip it a little bit so you can see the inside. I'm going to tie a knot to secure the eyelash in place. So just a simple knot. Nothing too special. Okay, and then I'm also going to trim the long edges off of that. So now I should have a diagonal piece of black yarn coming out of that hole where we originally put our eye. So to finish off this eye, I'm going to insert my safety eye back into that hole that we originally inserted it into. And you'll see that once we do that, we can see a small little eyelash appearing out of the eye. And now once you're happy with the eyelash on your Marina and where the safety eye is placed, now it's time to secure your safety eye. Once you do this, safety eyes are really, really hard to take apart, so be sure that this is where you want it placed and that you like how the eyelash looks connected to the eye. So now I just put my safety eye backing on, and then I push it tight. Okay, and then once I'm done, I have a very secured eye for my Marina. Now we're going to repeat this process for the other eye. Once we finish that, we have both of our eyes secured onto our Marina with the eyelash detailing. Next, we're going to continue crocheting our Marina head. For row 18, we're going to single crochet in the first 2 stitches and then decrease. We'll repeat this pattern 5 more times until we've reached the end of our row. Once we've completed this row, we should have a total of 18 stitches. So I'll start by single crocheting in the first 2 stitches, and then I will decrease for the next stitch. I'll repeat this by single crocheting in the next 2 stitches, and then I will decrease for the next stitch, and I'll continue this pattern all the way around this row. Once I've completed row 18, I should have a total of 18 stitches around my circle. So now it's time to grab your fiber fill stuffing and stuff your head firmly. Once your head is firmly stuffed, we're going to close up our circle. For row 19, we're going to alternate between 1 single crochet and 1 decrease. We'll repeat this pattern all the way around our row until we've gotten to the end of our row. After completing row 19, we should have a total of 12 stitches. So I'm going to single crochet, and then I will decrease. I will single crochet, then I'll decrease. And I'll continue to repeat this single crochet and decrease pattern. Once we finish row 19, we should have a total of 12 stitches around our row. Next, for row 20, we're going to decrease 6 times around our row. So we'll do 1, decrease, 2, and I'll continue decreasing for this entire row, which is a total of 6 times. Once you finish row 20, you should have a total of 6 stitches. So now it's time to sew the head closed and fasten off and weave in your loose end. So something that I really like to do is actually do a slip stitch before I sew everything together. I'm going to slip stitch in the next stitch. I will trim my yarn and then I'm going to pull my yarn through my slip stitch. Then I'll get my yarn needle, I'll thread my yarn tail, and then I'll sew this hole closed. For extra security, I personally like to also find a place where I can just hook onto a piece of yarn in my project and create a knot. For me, this just makes sure that my yarn tail doesn't accidentally come out of my project and this hole open up over time. So once I've tied my knot, I insert my hook in my project and I just insert it and pull it back out of my project so that my tail is somewhere inside of my project. And then I will trim the tail off, and that piece of yarn will just go back into my project and it will hopefully stay there and it won't come out. So now you've completed crocheting Marina's head. Thank you so much for watching this video tutorial. If you liked it, please give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section below. And if you're interested in part 2 of this video where we learn how to finish this Marina keychain, or if you're also interested in other crochet tutorials, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks again and see you next time!